So over the past few weeks, I've been warning you that the American people are about to pay. We are about to experience somewhat of an economic shock, and I want to explain where this is coming from, why this is going to impact you, and what we are seeing being done about this. Again, this is somewhat troubling. That's why I want to give you this update, explain what is happening and how you will be impacted. So all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So one of the things that we continue to hear when you turn on the news or social media is you hear all these different crises happening around the world. You see with Russia and Ukraine, we obviously are seeing the one between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Iran is attacking U.S. troops in the Red Sea. The Houthis out of Yemen are attacking ships traveling up and down the Red Sea and going to the Suez Canal, which is making it difficult for our supply chain. But this is just part of the equation. Then we have a border security crisis here in the United States. We have the FBI saying that there's additional and heightened threats here in the U.S. as well. And obviously all these things matter, especially when we are in an election year. 2024 is being said as this could be one of the most controversial elections we have ever had in our history. That's somewhat troubling. But something is happening right now that is going to play a major role moving forward in our lives. And it is a government funding bill. Right now, Congress is still on recess, but next week they come back. They will start negotiating and discussing the federal budget for fiscal year 2024. Right now, they have to pass this by January 19th. That is scary because that's a little bit over 2 weeks away. That is 2 weeks from tomorrow. The reason why this is so concerning is simple. Right now, many don't know if Congress will be able to come together and pass a bill. Now, here's what we've heard from Democrats. Democrats feel very confident that they'll pass a bill, no problem. There will not be a government shutdown. However, Republicans say there's still a possibility of a shutdown, which would impact millions of people, but they don't want to go through a government shutdown. What Republicans want to do is they want to see a continuing resolution for 2024, which means the government funding would stay the same as 2023. Well, here's why this is a problem. We have a border crisis. We have issues over in the Middle East. We have issues that need to be resolved with Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Hamas. These cost money. And this is where some are saying that the American people should brace for impact. Once we see this federal budget come in, there is a chance we see cuts across the board. This is going to impact the Social Security Administration. This would impact affordable housing. This could potentially eliminate affordable internet to millions and millions of Americans. This could cut funding for childcare. This could eliminate hurt the WIC program. For example, SNAP benefits, which receives about $153 billion, or I think it was $154 billion in 2023. That could see a cut to their benefits as well. And on top of that, we could see less law enforcement. The Capitol Police would see less funding, which would mean less officers. Again, the threat levels that we are being told from the IRS or the FBI that continue to go up, guess what? These threat levels are very high. And the experts are telling us that we need to expect that they will only increase as we get closer to the November elections. Again, this is troubling. But I want to show you some numbers here. So right now, Congress is fighting over multiple bills, one of which is the government funding bill, but tied to it is funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel, border security, and so much more. Well, look at this. In 2023, Ukraine attracted $42.6 billion in external financing, while they need for 2024 is $37 billion. Guess what the United States wants to send them? $60 billion. Ukraine's prime minister says that they only need $37 billion. Well, the United States wants to send them 60. How does that make sense? So right here, and this is what I've been saying all along, is the Biden administration is asking for $60 billion. Expect half of that. $30 billion at the most. Well, it doesn't stop there. We also know there's a need for funding for Israel, or at least according to reports. We were going to send them $14.3 billion, which was going to be taken from the IRS funding. Guess what? As of right now, that $14.3 billion is off the table. The expectation is possibly $5 billion. That the United States could potentially send them $5 billion. So we add those two things together, that is $35 billion we're going to send to Ukraine and Israel. Well, this is where things get tricky, because now we know that Senator Bernie Sanders says that there should be no more U.S. funding to Israel because it wages a war, an illegal assault on Gaza. But at the same time, the House Speaker, he wants the U.S. border closed before they pass any funding for Ukraine or Israel. Well, guess what? That's where things get very interesting. Because now this fight over Ukraine and Israel is turning into an Israel-Ukraine border fight that is all going to be pushed into a government funding bill. Well, here's why things are getting interesting. Think about this for a second. Congress is going to fight over this border security issue, right? Because it's a big issue. But the question is, do they provide additional funding to the border? Do they, and if they do, where does it come from? Or the next one is, do they change border policy? Well, according to experts, they have to do both. They have to change border policy and provide additional funding. Here's why. If they only change border policy, the problem is there's not enough agents at the border. So what's happening now, and I thought this was very interesting, is Border Patrol is actually calling additional agents down to the border from other states, from other offices to process people at the border. You know why? Because their other option was they close certain border crossings. This is exactly what happened a while ago, that the Arizona border crossing with Mexico that closed, it's going to reopen a month after this migrant influx forced it to close. It's been closed for a month. That is massive. And here's why. And this is why I'm telling you, this could create a massive economic shift. Right? We could see we could hurt economically. Here's why. Based off the reports, if last week when we saw 4 border crossings close, guess what? That was about I think they said $100 million per day in losses here into the United States. Okay? That's concerning. $100 million per day in losses to businesses here in the U.S. because their supplies couldn't get up here. We couldn't transfer goods, right? You may have been seeing there's certain items on the shelves and there's others that are not because they couldn't get up here from Mexico because the border crossings were closed. Well, this is only part of it. This is only part of it because at the same time, we are seeing our supply chain get disrupted because of the attacks over in the Red Sea. And just today, we learned that a Houthi drone, the drone boat, it detonated in the Red Sea after the U.S. warned that we should not see any more of this. After the U.S. warning, okay? After the U.S. shot down and took the lives of 10 crew members from Houthi boats, out of their Navy helicopters, well, the Houthis came out and they warned the United States, don't do this. Don't escalate the situation. And then this Houthi drone boat detonated, didn't hurt anybody, didn't hurt anything, right? There's no damage, but it did detonate in the Red Sea. This is causing those large shipping companies not to send any ships and vessels up and down the Red Sea. Again, it's a cause for concern because if that happens along with certain border crossings closing, that's going to hurt our economy. All right? Now, here's another major concern. Once all these things happen, and once border crossings shut down, once we see ports get backlogged, once we see the Red Sea and Suez Canal get backed up as well because of many ships not wanting to go through there, guess what? Prices are going to go up. We are going to see prices go up. Our supply chain disruptions are going to continue. Prices will go up, and that's where experts are anticipating a sticker shock very soon. Again, some are saying to brace for this shock, brace for impact, because what we are experiencing now is just the beginning of what is to come. So, I just wanted to fill you in on all that because I know a lot of people are wondering, how is all this going to play out? How is this going to impact us? Well, your savings account could get drained. Your credit cards could get maxed out because now you're going to be spending more money for the exact same things that you've been buying all year long. The problem is prices are going to go up. So expect that very soon because that is what experts are telling us. But as of right now, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.